From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. It's day 29 of the Canada Post strike, and there's still no movement at the bargaining table, with Christmas fast approaching.
The two sides have been bandying criticisms back and forth, but there's no indication yet that federal mediation is set to restart after it was paused in late November. The federal labor minister continues to rebuff calls for government intervention, saying it's up to both parties to work out a deal. This week did see resolution on one thing, a labor practice complaint from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers over layoffs during the strike. The key issues in the strike by more than 55,000 workers include wages, job security, and how to staff a proposed expansion into weekend delivery. David Bowles, The Canadian Press.
Russia's defense ministry says its military used dozens of long-range precision missiles and hundreds of drones on critically important fuel and energy facilities in Ukraine to hinder that country's ability to fight. But Ukrainian officials say the Kremlin is using terror tactics by targeting energy infrastructure that often leaves civilians in the dark with no running water or heating. Those same officials say Moscow is also stockpiling cruise and ballistic missiles for even more attacks. With the loonie hovering around 70 cents US in recent weeks, some Canadian travelers say they're making budget-conscious decisions when heading to America. For Torontonian Julie Wilson, that meant fewer stops to shop for clothes during a recent weekend vacation in New York City.
I didn't really see the same drive that I had before because I said, the Canadian dollar is so low. There's limited value, so it's like, where do I want to actually spend my time? Do I want to go to nice dinners?
A BMO survey this fall found one-third of Canadians feel the cost of international travel is now too expensive for their budgets. Mike Savage will be sworn in as Nova Scotia's Lieutenant Governor later today in Halifax. The swearing-in ceremony will take place in the Red Chamber at Province House. Now, Savage was most recently Mayor of Halifax and held that office for 12 years. He'll be replacing Arthur LeBlanc, who was appointed as Lieutenant Governor back in 2017. South of the border, there is growing frustration among lawmakers and officials about drone sightings over their states. The latest reported sightings come from north of New York City and New Jersey. Reporter Nicole D'Antonio has more.
New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who claims sources told him the drones are coming from an offshore foreign mothership, yesterday accused the Pentagon of lying.
They're going to the ocean. They're not pontoons. They're not landing on the water. They're landing on something. We're not being told the truth. They are dealing with the American public like we're stupid.
Authorities in Washington acknowledge they don't know where the drones are coming from, leaving many to ask, how do we know they aren't a danger?
For its part, the White House says many of the sightings are actually manned aircraft being flown lawfully. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, a busy night in the NHL and a big night for Leon Draisaitl in Edmonton's 7-1 rout of Minnesota. He scored his NHL-leading 21st goal of the season and added 3 assists. Vegas beat Winnipeg 3-2 in overtime. Tampa Bay dumped Calgary 8-3, and Vancouver topped Florida 4-0. It was an ugly loss for the Montreal Canadiens. Pittsburgh scored 6 times in the third period for a 9-2 rout. Max Pacioretty scored twice in Toronto's 3-2 win over Anaheim. For the first time since 2016, the Los Angeles Rams won a game without a touchdown. Joshua Carty kicked 4 field goals as the Rams beat San Francisco 12-6. And finally, the Miami Heat's winning streak is now up to 4 games after posting a 114-104 victory over Toronto. The Raptors' Grady Dick had 22 points, with the team now 1-12 on the road this season. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.